All right, today we're going to cut right through all the hype and build a really clear, accurate mental model of what a large language model actually is. No speculation, no crazy math, just the core idea you need to use these tools effectively and safely. So, what is really going on inside these incredibly powerful new systems? Let's dive in.
You know, when you interact with a system like ChatGPT, it just feels like it understands you, right? You can ask it to explain a super difficult concept, and what you get back is a clear, structured answer. It almost seems like it gets the nuance of what you're asking.
And it gets weirder. You can ask it to write code, and it does. You can even ask it to reason through a problem, and it'll lay out this logical step-by-step path. It just feels intelligent. But under the hood, it's actually doing something much, much simpler, and frankly, a lot stranger.
That's it. That's the whole trick. Its entire sophisticated capability comes down to one core function: predicting the most probable next word over and over and over again. And once you really truly get that one simple fact, both its incredible strengths and its most frustrating failures, they suddenly make perfect sense.
So, to get a real intuition for this, we don't need to look any further than the phone that's probably in your pocket right now. The best analogy is your keyboard's autocomplete function.
So you type, "I'm heading to the," and your phone immediately offers a few suggestions. Now think about this. Your phone has absolutely no idea about your schedule or your job or your fitness goals. It doesn't understand your plans. It's just learned from your past typing that words like work or office or gym are statistically very likely to follow that exact sequence of words.
A large language model is the exact same fundamental idea as your phone's autocomplete, just scaled up to a totally astronomical degree. Instead of being trained on your last few texts, it's been trained on a massive chunk of the internet. We're talking billions and billions of sentences. Its goal is the same: predict the next piece of text, or to be a little more accurate, the next token, which might be a word or even just part of a word. But it's the sheer scale that makes all the difference.
Okay, so when we say a model is trained, what does that actually mean in plain English? It's not about teaching it facts like you would a person. It's all about developing its predictive ability. The process is basically this. First, the model just churns through a vast library of text. Second, from all that text, it learns the statistical patterns, and not just which words follow others, but the patterns of grammar, of sentence structure, even the patterns of how arguments are formed or how stories are told. So here's the crucial point. It is not searching a database to find an answer. It's generating a brand new sentence, token by token, based on what is most probable to come next, all based on the patterns it's learned.
And this brings us to what is probably the most important distinction you can make. The model isn't thinking. It's simulating the appearance of thought by masterfully recreating the language patterns that are associated with thinking. I mean, think about it. Human reasoning, when we write it down, it has a certain structure, right? It leaves a statistical footprint in our language. And because the model has learned these patterns so well, it can reproduce the shape of a logical argument without doing any genuine reasoning at all. It can create a grammatically perfect sentence without any comprehension. And this just perfectly illustrates the crucial difference. Language fluency is not the same as being grounded in reality.
This core mechanism also perfectly explains the model's biggest failure mode, its tendency to be confidently and very persuasively wrong. People often call this a hallucination, but honestly, that term can be a bit misleading. It kind of suggests a bug or a glitch in the system. It's not. It's the system working exactly as it was designed to, predicting a sequence of words that is statistically plausible, even if it happens to be factually incorrect.
See, the model is optimized during training to be helpful, fluent, and confident, because that's what human writing usually looks like. It is not optimized to check facts or to say "I don't know," because, well, that's just a less common pattern in the data. So it will simply generate the most probable continuation using whatever patterns it learned from data that might be incomplete, or biased, or just plain outdated. For example, if it's trained on old medical data, it might confidently give you outdated advice, because that's the most probable pattern it learned from.
So if you remember nothing else from this, please remember this. Language fluency is not the same as truth. A perfectly written, confident-sounding answer from an LLM gives you zero signal about whether that answer is actually correct. But look, understanding these limitations isn't about dismissing the technology. Not at all. In fact, it's the absolute key to unlocking its true power. Let's see how this understanding can change a professional workflow. So where does this leave us? Well, when you stop treating it like an all-knowing oracle and start treating it like a tool, its power becomes obvious. It's absolutely exceptional at synthesizing patterns at an incredible speed. This makes it a world-class assistant for things like drafting emails, rewriting paragraphs, summarizing long documents, explaining snippets of code, and just brainstorming ideas.
The ideal workflow always puts you in the driver's seat. You provide the context, the expertise, the goal. The LLM then generates a first draft or explores a bunch of possibilities at a speed you could never match. And then, and this is the most important part, the final step comes back to you. You apply your judgment, you verify the facts, and you make the final decision. It's a partnership.
Okay, let's bring this all together into a really simple, practical mental model that you can start using every day.
The most crucial takeaway is this. Treat a large language model like a very fast, very fluent collaborator who happens to speak with immense confidence, but has no actual understanding of the world. You would never trust that person to make final decisions for you, but you would absolutely use them to brainstorm and get a first draft on paper.
The moment you stop expecting the model to understand and you start using it for what it actually does, which is masterful pattern matching and prediction, it transforms. It goes from being a source of confusion and frustration into an incredibly powerful and genuinely useful professional tool.